Hi there again and welcome. This week, since last Saturday or last Friday and right up till today, we have the Gospel of John. In fact, it's chapter 6 of this Gospel, the Book of Signs. And chapter 6 is a classic piece of the first. It starts with a miracle or a sign, and after which there is always a teaching. And John's chapter 6 builds up to a crescendo, and what would appear to be a bit of a fatal crescendo. It starts with Jesus telling the disciples to go to the other side of the lake. And they all go across, and they climb up a hillside, and Jesus sits down with his disciples. And then they notice a rather large crowd coming towards them. And Jesus is concerned about how will they eat. So he asks the disciples what they might do, and he decides, look, take the 5 loaves of bread and the 2 fish that we have and share them among the people. And of course, everybody has enough. The 5,000 men, not counting women and children, have enough to eat. In fact, not just enough. There are 12 baskets full of scraps left over. And when this is all over, Jesus says to the disciples, okay, now go back to Capernaum. And he heads off on the hills alone. During the night, he comes to them walking on the water. And when they get to Capernaum, they go into the synagogue. And the people who are left there on the hillside realize that Jesus and the disciples have gone. They're no longer there. So they also get into boats and go to Capernaum looking for him. And when they find him, Jesus says to them, you come looking for me because you had more than enough bread to eat. Why stop wasting your money on what perishes? Put it into bread that endures forever, that gives life. And they say to him, well, give us that bread. And he says, I am the bread of life. He who comes to me will never hunger. He who believes in me will never be thirsty. And they say, look, Moses fed us in the desert. We ate manna there that was given to us by Moses. What sign will you give us that we might believe in you? And so Jesus says, look, it wasn't Moses that gave you the bread from heaven. It is my Father who gives you the bread from heaven. And they say, well, give us that bread. And Jesus says, I am the bread of life. He who comes to me will never be hungry, and he who believes in me will never be thirsty. And they begin to contest, how can he do this? And so Jesus says, look, the bread I give you is my flesh for the life of the world. And they start to doubt. And then he builds up and he said, my bread is real food. Eat this and you will not die. And then he goes on to say, the bread that I will give you is my flesh for the life of the world. Unless you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you will not have life in you. And then he goes on even further to say, my flesh is real food, my blood is real drink. He who eats this and drinks this will live forever. And this is too much for them. Quite a few of the disciples say, this is impossible talk. And so they leave him. They stop going with Jesus. So he turns to the 12 and he says, and what about you? Are you going to go too? And it's Peter who responds, typically, in name of everybody. And he says, to whom shall we go? You have the words of eternal life. And I think what Jesus is doing here, he presents this miracle, the sign, in the context of the Passover feast. which is certainly a way of alluding to the Last Supper. And what he is doing is offering himself as food and drink for the world. And it's a gift from the Father. And that's what we have today. We have Jesus present as food and drink, as bread and wine. And they are his body and his blood. Now how? I don't know. I studied for years in the seminary, and we had a lot of looks at this. And we used a particular philosophical system called Aristotelian, which was perfected or polished by St. Thomas Aquinas. And we talked about transfiguration. Now, it was a system attempting to explain a mystery, which I think we can't do. But like so many mysteries in life, I accept it. I accept that if I put on the switch here, a light will go on. And I can't really understand how electric current travels so quickly along a string of copper and actually makes light. Now, I know it happens, and I see it, and I believe it, but I can't explain it. And it's a little bit like the transubstantiation that we use for the Eucharist. But it's God's gift to us. It's a gift of his Son, and that gift is for the life of the world. You and me. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time. God bless.